Hey Con, I'm glad you liked the video on this with this African guy. I'm not sure if he's a politician or a preacher or he seems to be all everything rolled up in one. But I've listened to a few more of his presentations, lectures, talks, whatever. And he brought back something which, well, I wouldn't say he brought it back, but he allowed me to see it in a different way. And that is my aversion to partisan politics, which goes back to my childhood growing up on a farm in rural St. Mary in Jamaica. This was a period in my life when I did not even understand what partisan politics was. I remember in the pre-election campaigning times, the supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party would quarrel and fight over what I did not clearly understand. Some of the confrontations were vicious and bloody. People often got hurt. On some occasions, people died. And even at that age, I decided that I did not want to be a part of that divisiveness of fighting over which master we want to rule over us. Now, at a more mature stage of my evanescence, I want to share some thoughts on what I hope are my non-partisan feelings about the divisiveness of partisan politics. Partisan politics can be considered harmful or even evil when it promotes division, power, and self-interest over the common good. And here are some of the reasons why partisan politics is not one of my favorite pastimes. It divides people and communities. Partisanship often puts groups and families and communities against each other, creating an us versus them dynamics. This division undermines unity and shared purpose, fostering animosity and mistrust, as we see happening in Dominica right now. Partisan politics undermines truth. Partisan loyalty too often leads people to ignore the facts or manipulate them to support their side. This diminishes truth and encourages misinformation and the perpetuation of lies. When partisan politics are dominated by ruthless rulers and leaders who often refuse to work with others of different ideological persuasions, even when it benefits the greater good. This gridlock prevents progress on critical issues. In a partisan system, parties may prioritize winning and maintaining power over moral or ethical considerations, leading to corruption and unethical behavior. What concerns me greatly is the polarization of society. Partisan politics often apply the reward and punishment tactics. Support my policies or else I'll punish you. This manipulative tactic ignores nuances and can lead to extreme policies that alienate large portions of the population. It weakens democratic institutions. Partisanship erodes trust in a so-called democratic system. When parties manipulate rules and undermine institutions to secure advantage for their side. Distraction from real issues, that's a problem. Partisan politics focuses on defeating their opponents rather than addressing the root causes of societal problems, leaving pressing issues unresolved. It encourages what I call tribalism. Partisanship demands blind loyalty to a party, discouraging critical thinking and the willingness to question one's motives and conscience. This is tribalism, which perpetuates ignorance and injustice. That was my pre-Baha'i take, which carries over to a certain extent to today. But let's look at it from a Baha'i perspective. From a Baha'i point of view, partisanship is incompatible with the principles of unity, which is essential for humanity's progress. Baha'u'llah emphasized the need for cooperation, consultation, and unity to solve global problems. Partisan politics, which often sows discord and division, stands in direct opposition to these principles. The Baha'i teachings offer a vision of governance and social organization that transcends the divisiveness of partisan politics, emphasizing unity, justice, and consultation. So this is an overview of the Baha'i perspective on alternatives to partisanship. Governance based on unity. Baha'u'llah teaches that humanity is one and must work together to build systems that serve the collective good. Instead of fostering division, governance should unite diverse groups of people through shared values and principles. Baha'is believe that true leadership arises from service to all people, not loyalty to a specific faction or ideology. Baha'is believe in non-adversarial consultation. In the Baha'i model, decision-making is based on consultation, a collective process where individuals set aside personal agendas and seek truth through open and respectful dialogue. This approach encourages unity of thought and action, ensuring that decisions reflect the best interest of all rather than the dominance of one side over another. Justice as the guiding principle. Justice is central to Baha'i governance. Leaders and decision makers are urged to act impartially, seeking fairness for all, not just for their supporters. Baha'u'llah says, "The best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom if thou desirest me." So as Baha'is, we focus on collective well-being. Partisan politics often prioritizes the success of that particular party that's in power. In contrast, Baha'i teachings emphasize the welfare of all humanity as the highest goal. Baha'u'llah calls for leaders to transcend narrow interest and take a global perspective, recognizing that the prosperity of one nation or group is tied to the prosperity of all. Baha'is are encouraged to avoid all partisan affiliations. Baha'is are encouraged not to engage in partisan politics at all. Instead, they are called to contribute to the society through constructive and non-divisive means, focusing on grassroots community building and efforts to foster unity and cooperation. Baha'u'llah spoke of a world government. The Baha'i faith envisions a system of global governance rooted in shared values, where nations collaborate to address the challenges like climate change and war and poverty. Such a system would be free from the adversarial nature of partisan politics and would instead prioritize humanity's collective needs. This is spiritual principle in action. Baha'is believe that political systems should be guided by spiritual principles such as kindness, humility, truthfulness, and a desire to serve others. This approach fosters trust and cooperation rather than conflict and division. Practical actions. Baha'is around the world actively work to demonstrate these principles in action. Examples: community consultation. In Baha'i communities, local spiritual assemblies use consultation to make decisions that serve the needs of the entire community. Baha'is engage in initiatives like education, environmental conservation, and economic development, emphasizing collaboration and inclusivity. Interfaith and intercultural dialogues. Baha'is promote unity by bringing people from diverse backgrounds together to address shared challenges. So, my dearest friend, for us to bring these principles to the people, we ourselves have to be prepared that we are actually worthy of bringing the precious message that we have in our hearts. Because if we are not clean receptacles delivering the message, it will not be received. Because people have a tendency to attach so much significance to the messenger rather than the message itself. So we have a lot of work to do in preparing ourselves. Have a good night, my friend.